CD17.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Liberators Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, Ms. Danielle Oldfield, who is a professionally qualified chef through the Christina Martin School of Food, working in Cape and in the UK for 7 years. But it was her passion for creating healthy, delicious food and a keen interest to learn more about health and wellness that led Danielle to study a Bachelor of Science in Dietetics in South Africa from 2004 to 2007. Thereafter, she had been working as a registered clinical dietitian in hospitals in the private sector, in the food industry, and in private practice as part of a multidisciplinary team. Being passionate about sport and exercise, Danielle has been a performance nutritionist for the Sharks Rugby Team in her province. Designing a healthy lifestyle is her motto. To be able to change what you can to be the best of your ability to reach a healthier version of yourself and live your best life. It is all about extending the life in your years. Good nutrition as a part of a daily lifestyle helps create peak physical form and create better health. Her passion in helping clients is getting to underlying root of cause disease and not just treating symptoms. She says that she enjoys the why and love working with clients to dive deeper into their health and fix it from the inside out. With this, she came across nutrigenomics and 3x4 genetic tests, which provides valuable information to giving more accurate nutrition advice, basically tailoring your lifestyle to your blueprint. This newfound passion in genetics led her to completing a translational nutrigenomics course in 2020, and this year she is studying functional nutrition. Danielle is a mom of 2 daughters and a partner to an incredible, inspiring man. They love spending time outdoors, exploring the countryside, eating good food, and learning. And she says, never stop learning. Please join me in welcoming a very special guest for today, Ms. Danielle Oldfield, a registered dietitian. How you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very good. I'm very good. Thanks for having me here, Jeremy. It's
Yes.
very, very cool to talk to a doctor or becoming doctor in the US.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
Today we'll be talking about we're going to use as a topic and a basis a diet for the best quality of life. And kind of as a starter, I usually like to ask the guests about their current endeavors and any future plans that they may have or any projects that they're working on.
Yeah, so sure, it feels like it's been so busy because we've had so much time to be at home and to think about where we want to go next. And we've really had to pivot, in these times because we haven't been able to sit face to face. So generally, I've worked a lot in medical centers and in hospitals, but that's had to change a little bit. And yeah, at the moment, I'm building an online practice thanks to lockdown.
Okay.
And it's working. I would say a good 40% of my practices is now online, which is incredible. And with Zoom, I remember in 2019 going, what is Zoom? Right. Someone asked me to do a Zoom meeting thinking, and it was so tricky and it felt all awkward. And it just became part of normal life in 2020. And then I came across, genetics is, I would say it's been around for a long time, but it's really only starting to make an impact now. There's so much technology at our fingertips, and now you can actually test your DNA and really tailor your lifestyle and your exercise and any kind of supplements you may want to take to your DNA. So it's like a really great tool. And I met a company in 2018 and started off with them in 2019 and had to take this really long path of learning about genetics. It was a 400-hour diploma. And again, thanks to COVID, I had the time to do that and absolutely loved it. And so now I'm changing really how I counsel clients. I try to make it a lot more holistic, a lot more functional than I used to do, let's say, in my first maybe 10 years of practice. Now I like to look at their lifestyle, because I think everyone is so different. And I think COVID has made us realize that it's not just about the food that we eat. It's about our mental health as well. It's how we move. It's about the people that are around us and the tribe that we have. So yeah, I'm trying to create a more holistic package for clients. And then so I'm also studying in the US, actually. It's the IFNA, so functional nutrition, through one of your companies over
Universities.
there. Yeah, so it's called nutrigenomics. So it's using nutrients or nutrition and food molecules to affect your health and to really switch your DNA on or off. So, I mean, it's really fascinating. I'm so excited, like for the next 10 years, the next 20 years, even, what it's going to look like. And I'm sure you mentioned you were studying medicine. It must be so exciting, the things that we are finding out about the human body.
Right. Definitely. It's something new to find out every day. Currently I'm taking a pathology class, and it's interesting to see kind of last year how we were working with the healthy body. Now we're working with the body that has disease. So
Yes.
it's important to see how different nutrient deficiencies even can lead to certain diseases. That's why I wanted to kind of ask you about with the nutrigenomics in specific. So does that mean that you're able to cater a diet to an individual person based on their DNA, if I'm understanding that correctly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not obviously exact. I'm not going to say eat tomatoes, but but there are tests that will tell you that too. Yeah, it's just really going to tell you, are you sensitive to fat or not sensitive to fat? Should you maybe follow a low carb diet, or is the keto diet good for you? Right. It'll tell you things like, is your body able to make vitamin B well or not make vitamin B well? Same with vitamin C. How does your body use caffeine, vitamin D? And then when we're talking about specific foods, so let's say antioxidant rich foods, which is, I call them your rainbow foods, your brightly colored foods like berries and baby spinach and salmon. It'll tell you, do you actually require more foods like that? Or maybe you require more foods like your cruciferous type of vegetables, which is your broccolis and cauliflowers and cabbage. So it's really nice. It provides insight basically into your blueprint. And obviously you're going to see stuff that comes from your ancestors, from your parents, from your grandparents. So it gives you insights into, oh, really, that's what I need to focus on in my life to keep certain diseases, I suppose, at bay. And then it allows you to focus on those areas and technically prevent disease.
Okay.
Health is your genetics and the choices you make.
Okay. Because it kind of feels like now diet culture is one size fits all type philosophy, and they try to, one day is keto, next day is this, you know what I mean? So I think that's a interesting and a promising approach to how to make sure people are eating the right things. What made you decide actually to pursue a career as a dietitian?
Yeah, so I come from a family that's really healthy. My mom's half Italian. We really used to follow that typical Mediterranean lifestyle. And I started ballet when I was 3.
Okay.
I did it until I was 18. So, many, many years. And I think being in that type of environment, you're very aware, and probably too aware, and probably overly conscious about your body. But I did eat really, really healthy. And like I said, my family is very, very sporty. And when I actually left school, I did not know what I wanted to be. I just knew that I loved cooking. And so my parents said, just go be a chef. And I went to be a chef. I think I was only meant to do it for a year, according to them. And I ended up staying 7 years. Okay. And loved it, got to travel a little bit. And it was when I was working in the UK for 2 years, I met a dietitian over there. I ended up getting a day job for my last 6 months because I was tired of working at night. And the only day job I could find was working in a hospital. And there, the dietitian used to come into the kitchen and say, we really need to make a diabetic diet or a heart healthy diet or a diet that's a renal diet or good for someone's kidneys. And I thought, well, that's pretty interesting that we can actually use food to help people. And that's when I thought, I think that's what I want to do. So I came back to South Africa and studied it, and I loved it very, very much. It's a very, very diverse degree, and essentially I really like helping people. I was always told by the educational psychologist in my teens that I should be a teacher, a nurse, or a dietitian. So all of those are generally helping people, and I like to make people feel better and to see them grow, you know, in whether it's mentally, whether it's health, whether it's in sport, you know. So yeah, that's I think it fits me well.
Okay. Are you ever able to create a diet that changes mood? Because I know food and emotion goes hand in hand a lot of the times.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of that actually boils down to genetics, actually. Sometimes we can see from your DNA that you're not actually able to make the right nutrients that actually help your mood. So things like vitamin B9 or folate help your mood, B12 helps your mood, choline, which you find in eggs, helps your mood as well. And some people are not physically able to make these. And of course, if you're also having if you're not eating a good diet, that also affects your mood. But absolutely, there are foods that can aggravate you. I mean, even caffeine, and again, that's a genetic thing. So some people can drink coffee and they're absolutely fine. Other people, caffeine can cause anxiety. That's the one side. The other side is that your brain is directly linked to your gut. So an unhealthy gut equals an unhealthy mind. And what causes an unhealthy gut is inflammation, and sugar is very inflammatory. A lot of your animal fats are really inflammatory, and just a lot of fast food, you know, when they're using all these unhealthy oils. So, you know, if you put things like bipolar and schizophrenia aside, I do think that a lot of people with low mood or depression, a lot of it may actually be related to health.
Okay. What would you say is a diet that is more consistent with better mood?
I would say, I mean, a lower sugar diet for sure, but probably the good old fashioned Blue Zones diet or the Mediterranean diet. So if I had to choose one lifestyle, if you had to really pin me down, because I don't like to choose one.
Right.
I like to treat everyone as their own unique person. If I'm going to study you, you're the only person in the study. But if I had to choose one, I would choose something called the Blue Zones diet. And the Blue Zones, I think there's in Loma Linda in California is one of the areas. There's Akaria in Greece. There's a little pocket of people in Sardinia. I think Nicoya in South America, and Japan, Okinawa in Japan. So these pockets of people, they live the longest and the healthiest. So the healthiest doesn't mean that they just don't have heart disease. It's also a mental thing. So they're the people who live, when I say the longest, they, you know, knocking on 100, but they're healthy. So there's this concept of lifespan and health span. So their health span is almost matching their lifespan. So if I say to you, in America, the average lifespan is 78.3, 78.6, let's call it 79 years. That's how many years you're going to live. The average health span, so how many years in your lifespan are you actually healthy, is 63. So that's like 16 years of maybe you'll be in a wheelchair, maybe you won't be able to talk, maybe you'll have a bag, you know, and you have to feed yourself through the bag. So these people in these blue zones, their health span pretty much is right up to their lifespan. And like I say, that's being able to move, it's not having heart disease, it's being able to think, have good cognitive health. And the blue zones diet really is a Mediterranean diet, but it's not crazy, you know, because we can't do anything crazy. It's 80% of the time you're really eating well Mediterranean, which is actually a lot of vegetables. And 20% of the time, you know, you're chilling out. But these people, they do other things. So it's not only about nutrition that's good for your mind. So they move naturally. So exercise is essential to good brain health because it increases dopamine and that makes us feel happy.
Right.
I often say to people, you know, eating chocolate makes you feel good for a little bit because it increases dopamine, and then sugar crash and then you feel terrible. But exercise does the same thing. So they wake up in the morning, they have a purpose, they're moving naturally, they're eating a Mediterranean diet that's heavily based on vegetables and salads. Believe it or not, they're having a glass of wine at 5 o'clock with their friends,
Right.
because the social element is also really important to mental health. And I think, that's been a big part of, or cause of, depression and COVID. They are able to find time to switch off. So some people will have a siesta, some people have an afternoon nap. Now we're talking about people 70 and up, right? And then, of course, they have a sense of belonging and a tribe of people around them. So I think there's a lot more to being healthy than just food, right? So it's all these elements in your life that need to come together. And I think that's where it has to be holistic, because it doesn't matter how healthy you are. If you're exercising, if you're lonely, your mental health is not going to be good.
Right. So it's their lifestyle as much as it is the diet.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the one I would choose. I want to be like the Blue Zones, but I don't think I want to live to 100.
I hear that. Okay. And what would you say that the Mediterranean diet consists of exactly? I know you said vegetables. Are there any types of like seafoods or meats that they eat as well?
No, definitely. So, there's a craze, I think, this vegetarian vegan craze, which it's all good and well. And I think people who want to be vegetarian and vegan, it's great. But I mean, meat and chicken and fish is really important because it contains protein. And, protein builds all our enzymes, hormones, it builds all our neurotransmitters for our brain. It forms part of our bones, our muscles. So, the Mediterranean diet is moderate amounts of lean protein. So, chicken, fish, a bit of seafood, I suppose now and again, a bit of red meat. My mother loves to give us lamb. The Italians like lamb. And then, yes, a lot of your vegetables and salads, and of course some of your whole grain carbohydrates. But actually, when I say veggies and salads, I want to say, most people say it's an insane amount, but they say that 5 to 9 cups of vegetable salads, and including fruits, literally can keep you healthy and really keep away disease. And if you think, wow, that's a lot, but you think, is it really? If you had 2 fruits a day, that's already 2 cups. We'll often have eggs for breakfast, and we'll cook some onion and mushroom and baby spinach and peppers. So now you got another 1.5 cups. You might have 2 cups of salad with your lunch, and 2 cups of veg at dinner. So I'm already on 7 cups. But it's difficult, I think, for people to do that. And I often challenge people, if they're not eating veggies, like let's say you think about it, okay, maybe 1 or 2 cups a day, I challenge them to get up to 5. And a lot of people say, wow, I feel so energetic. And you don't think so, because people think energy equals carbs equals sugar, but it doesn't. All your vitamins come from vegetables and salads. And I like to say that vitamins that come from veggies and salads, it's like the light switch in the room. It's your engine. It does everything. So I think we underestimate the power of leafy greens.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. The last thing of the Mediterranean is the good fats, right? So it's your olive oil, avos, nuts, seeds. So it's using your good fats, not your animal fats. Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about a diet that's plant-based? Do you feel that the diet should be mostly plants, or in proportion? How would that look? So I guess my question is, if we took a typical plate that we're eating, most of our meals, what should that plate consist of, our portion?
Yeah. So you've heard the half a plate of veggies. Or I always say half a plate, and it should. So I mean, it depends how big your plate is, but I like to go by cups. So definitely 2 cups of vegetables. I mean, that's a lot. We're talking like half a liter of vegetables, but half a plate of veggies, the standard fist size of your carbohydrates, as long as it's a good carbohydrate, like a sweet potato or brown rice or quinoa, and then a lean protein. I like balance. I don't really agree with cutting out carbohydrates and keto diets. I do think they work, but and if you've got low thyroid and if you've got diabetes, then we're going to talk maybe cutting down on carbohydrates. But all the macronutrients, there's 3 macronutrients: carbs, protein, fat. They all provide something for our body. So I think we need them.
Okay.
We just abuse them.
Okay. How do you feel about water intake?
Yeah, so water is essential, right? Aren't we 70% or 80% water?
Water.
I mean, it's essential. You'll know how good water is if you ever been somewhere and you've forgotten water and you've done a walk and then you're really thirsty, and when you drink it, you just think, yeah,
You come
stuff
alive.
is so precious. It's like so precious. Yeah, so I'm a big fan of water. People don't drink enough, but again, I don't prescribe to that 2 liters a day. I think it's meant to be like 25 to 30 mils per kilo. So, you know, if you weigh 40 kilos, then you don't need 2 liters.
Okay.
And technically, you know, if you're having other fluid, tea, coffee, that can count. But if you're going to shoot for a goal, I would say definitely try 1.5 liters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Per day.
And again, people don't drink it. So I always say, I've got my water bottle here, and I'm quite bad at drinking water. And I say, if your goal is to drink more water, you're never, ever going to drink more water unless you have a system in place.
Right.
So my system is buy a water bottle, make it full, put it on my desk, and then I drink it, and then I go fill it up again, or I've got 3 around the house, and then that works. So whenever someone's got a goal to do something, maybe you've got a goal to exercise more, you're not going to exercise more if you don't own a gym kit, if you don't know where you're going, if you don't know what you're doing, and if your gym kit's not next to your bed with your alarm set for the next morning. You know, so it's normally systems. And I like to tell people, put your little systems in place, write your goals, write what you need to do. And if you just do the things you need to do, you're going to get to your goal.
What role do you feel that what you just said kind of made me think about how important environment can be to diet? How do you feel that the role of environment plays in diet? So like, I guess having a refrigerator that's more dedicated to healthy food and minimizing the availability of unhealthy snacks and things like that around. How do you feel that? Is that something that you do when you work with clients, you know, kind of like telling them to remodel how their environment, you know, is conducive to their success?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always say, if you're never going to eat healthy food if the healthy food is not in your fridge. That's the one thing. And the other thing is, you got to get whoever is around you on board. I mean, you can, and I do not like people to eat something different to what their family is eating. So if their family is quite resistant, I will say, right, whatever your family is eating for dinner, then you must eat it. Let's just rather make the changes on the meals that you can, your breakfast, your lunch, maybe your snacks. But environment is so important. So my partner, he always says that you'll become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
That's true.
And there's a study by Christakis and Fowler where, and I've written it here because I wanted to tell you, it's crazy actually, that if your friend is obese, you have 45% increased risk of becoming obese.
Wow.
I mean, that's a lot. And if that's your friend. Now, if you have friends that don't really know him, they have a risk of 25% increased risk of becoming obese, and their friends have a 5% increased risk. And so it was this long study with lots of people. And it's true, because if you're going to a barbecue and all of your friends are obese, they're all obese, maybe because they're not exercising and, you know, they're eating too much, and there's chips and there's beer, you know, then you're going to do the same thing, and you're probably leading the same lifestyle, and then you're also going to gain weight.
Right.
But if your tribe starts walking together, hiking together, you know, replacing the bowl of chips with a bowl of salad, you know, then now your lifestyle's starting to look different. Everyone's going to start losing weight. So I definitely think that your environment has a role to play. And even, you know, if we look at work, so a lot of people are in really stressful jobs. And I suppose they're in really stressful family situations as well. So that environment can cause people to overeat or binge eat as well. So it's really important to look at everything, sorry, that's going on in someone's life.
Okay. What do you feel that there are supplements in addition to a diet that people should be intaking on a regular basis?
I'm not a fan of supplements.
Okay.
The big pharma might shoot me down for saying I think a lot of it's money making, but I do think that there's a lot that's really important. So, vitamin D is really important because, again, if you look at genetics, a lot of people cannot absorb vitamin D no matter how long they stand in the sun. And of course, we're sitting inside. We're not running after animals in the bush like our ancestors might have been doing.
Right.
But yeah, so there are some things like that. I think if you're sick, maybe you could take a bit of vitamin C. And then, of course, if you've got chronic disease. But I think if you're eating properly, and if you're eating that rainbow, I always talk to people about eating the rainbow of colors, the red, the orange, the yellow, then I think you're getting all of your nutrients in. But unfortunately, so many people are eating fast food, convenience foods that are high in sugar, they're high in salts, and they're probably depleting our bodies of nutrients. So then maybe a multivitamin is okay, but I prefer to attack someone to go, right, let's actually look at your lifestyle, your diet, and see how we can fix that first, and then go on to supplements, because supplements are also quite expensive.
Okay. So with that being said, what are some things that a person should avoid in order to have a healthy dietary lifestyle?
I think anything that doesn't look like the food it's meant to look like. So, like crisps. I always think crisps don't look like potatoes. So if I take a potato and I cut it up and put a bit of olive oil and salt and I put it in the oven, it's looks like a potato. But if I give you a chip, I don't know what your chips are called in America, but our Simba chips or
Lays.
Lays, exactly. I mean, it doesn't look like a potato. Same like we have knickknacks here, and it's made of corn. It looks nothing like a mealie or corn on the cob. So anything in a packet, anything really that's chemically made. And I often say, if you just pick up something and read the back, if there's something that you don't understand on the back, like E220 or acidifying agents, then you're thinking, no, this is not real food. This is not good for us. I'm not a fan of dairy either. Not that I think people shouldn't eat dairy. I think it's really good for people who are battling to gain weight. It's pretty good for like young sportsmen, like let's say kids at school. But I think dairy is quite inflammatory. I think there are a lot of hormones, that they use in beef or cows, should I say. And then of course, trans fats. And I would say the American diet is quite high in trans fats. So that's all your deep fried foods and all your kind of hydrogenated oils. And I mean, trans fats, I always tell people, will kill you slowly. Heart disease is called the silent killer for a reason. So you can have heart disease for 10 years and not know about it, and then suddenly have a heart attack or a stroke. And that's, it's not really the red meat and the chicken skin. I mean, it is a little bit, but it's all of that stuff in a packet. It's all of that cheap and nasty fat.
Yeah. Okay. So avoidance of processed foods, you would say.
Yeah. In a nutshell.
Right. Okay. Because I think that, here in America, there's so much, not just even the way that our supermarkets are arranged, they're arranged in a way that emphasizes foods that are unhealthy in a way, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of like the vegetables, the fruits are in a corner, and when you get to the front, then here comes the cookies, the chips, and I think that a lot of that feeds into why we have such a pervasive issue of morbidity here, as well as death, you know what I mean? So there's a lot that I think that we have to do as a society to be more conscious of, the type of lifestyle that we're promoting. Even online, you'll see or on TV, the marketing, you'll see somebody that's super thin and they're in shape, and they're running on the beach with a Coca-Cola. And it's just not it's not realistic for most people, honestly, so that's something that's definitely something that we have to work to change, for sure here. What does a typical day in the life of a dietitian looks like for you specifically?
So it's crazy.
Okay.
I mean, well, it depends on the day, right? So today is a pretty chill day. I quite like Thursdays. But normally I drop my kids at school and then I head to the medical center where I work, and I always have one or two early clients, people who want to see me before they get to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I'll head to the hospital. I work in a private hospital. That's kind of what we train to do, like clinical medicine.
Okay.
And that could be anything from, someone who's being diagnosed with cancer to someone who's had surgery and maybe they've had part of their esophagus removed. And now I need to talk to them about what their diet is going to look like going forward. Obviously, a lot of ICU patients. And ICU could be accidents, could be COVID, could be surgery. And that'll probably take me to about midday. And then I will come back. And at the moment, I'm doing a lot of online. So I might go back to the medical center and see one or two people, but otherwise I'm pretty much in the afternoon, come back online, because I do see quite a few people actually in the US. So you guys, our afternoon, you guys are waking up.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and again I work with our local sports team here, rugby team. Okay. So also I work with them as and when, if a guy, let's say, is injured, or I had a guy yesterday that popped into my office. We're doing some cool insulin testing on him, so that's going to be interesting. Okay. Podcasts with you some days.
Right. Okay.
So it's great. There's another cool project that I'm also doing with our, like, a big shopping center. So let's say your local food store. Obviously, there's a chain of food stores. So we have the same here. And they contacted me about a month ago to do what they call a fatigue menu. So they were finding that their truck drivers who were transporting food to the chain stores were getting really tired because they weren't eating right. They were having, kind of sugary drinks. They were having your Coca-Cola. They were picking up junk food on the side of, the petrol stations. And so doing menus for them to try and help these drivers to literally stay awake. So it's interesting. Different stuff comes up all the time. I had a chat today with someone. She wants me to be part of her challenge. And it's not a weight loss challenge. It's what I quite like about it. It's a lifestyle shift challenge.
Right.
So whatever you want to shift, I mean, a lifestyle challenge doesn't have to be losing 10 kilos and looking ripped. It might just be becoming fitter. It might be sleeping better. It might be feeling a bit more comfortable in your clothes. And I think that's what we need to change. A diet for the best quality of life. Like you say, the theme is not always being 100% perfect. It's just becoming a better version of yourself.
And I know a lot of dietitians even kind of in a way are hesitant to say diet as opposed to lifestyle change. Because, if you approach things as, just a diet for like 60 days, 90 days, once you get to the end of that 60, 90 days, kind of the bad habits start to creep back in, as opposed to if you approach something as a lifestyle change, that's daily for you. It never ends,
Yeah. So my partner and I, we're actually writing a book, which is taking a lot longer than we thought.
Okay.
And so it's called The First 70 Days. Because they also, I think it was in Cambridge, they did a study that showed that actually it doesn't take 21 or 28 days to break a habit. It takes 21 to 28 days to actually stop doing that thing that you're doing. It takes another 21 to 22 days to install a new habit, and another 21 to 22 days to kind of make it the norm. So it's like a 70-day process. And it's the book is going to be a lot about mindset, because I think that really gets in the way of people's habits. But it's trying to make those good habits, but habits that are enough for you. So if I say, well, you must go and run 10Ks 3 times a week, you might hate running and not want to do it. But if I say maybe you should walk 2 or 3Ks, then that's great for you. If that's what your habit is, it has to be measurable according to the person, because everyone's fitness level is different. Everyone's version of healthy eating is different. But I think if we can install healthy habits, and then when we've done that, just keep adding more good habits onto the habits, and then eventually, next thing you know, 3 years down the line, you living the most incredible healthy lifestyle.
Right. Okay. So let's say, for instance, if some of the listeners may want to get into a career in dietetics, how would they go about doing that?
I think, I know in South Africa we have about 5 universities. I would say in America, I think nutritionists is quite a big thing there, and there's functional nutrition. Personally, that's a route I would go, because we are going more holistic. That is what works. Like I say, where we look at you as a whole picture. We don't just stick a plaster over your problem. We go to the root cause. And so if someone wanted to study dietetics, I would look for an institute that's doing a lot more kind of functional nutrition. Yeah, and I'm sure you guys must have so many different universities over there. But it is.
Can you explain what you mean by functional nutrition?
Oh, yeah. So functional nutrition is looking at someone from a whole. So it's not just saying, oh, okay, you have high blood pressure, must stop eating salt. It's actually really asking a lot more about a person. So going to the root cause of something. So maybe high blood pressure is because you're overweight. Maybe you have a family history of high blood pressure. Maybe your diet is high in salt, but also maybe drink too much caffeine can make blood pressure go up. Maybe you're highly stressed. So it's kind of getting a big history and a big story about something, and even something that happened 10 years ago. I had a client, and he said to me he's got really bad eating habits because 20 years ago he was hijacked, and he's never really dealt with it, and he's got anxiety, and every time something really reminds him of that, you get like a trigger, then he goes into a panic and binge eats. So it's not really about then the weight, it's about something that's going on with anxiety. So functional nutrition is looking at bloods, it's looking at genetics, it's taking family history into account, it's taking your work, your exercise, your food, your current mindset into play, your environment. Yeah.
Okay. Where do you see yourself and your practice in the next 5 years?
I don't know, maybe in America. No, so definitely I think so I'm heading more towards kind of like the coaching space. I like the idea of someone coming to me and being able to walk them through a journey, and health, because it's not, like I said, it's not always about weight loss. So whether you have cancer, whether you have diabetes, whether you're very overweight, whether you want to transform yourself from an moderate athlete into this amazing athlete, I like to walk a journey with someone. So I've joined a group called Stirkler. It's a Stirkler coaching app, and it's based on coaching. So coaching people is not just this is what you must eat and this is a diet plan to follow. So that's a lot of, like I said, I'm really going more into the nutrigenomics space and the functional nutrition space and online. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to sit in 5 years' time anywhere in the world and help people.
I think that's the great thing about like online coaching and things like that. It allows us to have interactions like this.
Correct.
Without social media, Instagram, Facebook, things like that, we would have never met, really. You know what I
Correct.
mean? In a lot of ways. So,
correct.
What is a motto that you live by?
My motto, as cliched as it sounds, but I love it, is you are what you eat. I mean, you literally become what you eat, because the nutrients from food make the foundation of your bones, of your muscles, of your skin. I mean, your skin replaces itself every 35 days. So if your skin is made up of proteins, carbs, and fats, what you eat is becoming your skin. What you eat is becoming your liver. I think your liver replaces itself every month as well.
Yeah, regenesis.
So you are what you eat. And I mean, I tell people, do you want to be a donut or a blueberry? I mean, it's your choice, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of people actually say to me, if they start eating well, 6 months down the line, they go, God, my skin looks so good.
Vibrant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vibrant.
So that's my motto.
Okay. We certainly thank you for coming on to the Liberators podcast today and giving us some of your insights as far as how to approach diet and nutrition as a whole. And something that we always want to do is provide our listeners with an opportunity to support you in what you're doing. So if you wanted to provide any contact information as well as like a website or anything like that for people to look into any services like the online coaching that you have. I know you mentioned that you have a book coming out really soon.
Not really soon, maybe
not really soon. Okay.
Trying.
And we want to definitely have an opportunity as well as the information to support you on any endeavors that you're trying to do.
Yeah, thanks so much. Yeah, I mean, I do have a website.
Okay.
It's always hard to spell dietitian, but it's www.dietitian. It's Dietition, dietitian But I think Instagram is probably the easiest because I think most people are on Instagram and there I'm at dietitian Danielle. That dietitian is with a C though. But you'll find my name, Danielle Oldfield. I don't really use Facebook. I am there, but I think the best is my website, and my email is there, and or Instagram. Direct messaging is a great thing, and then I'm on the Sturkler coaching app.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about the services that you offer?
Yeah, so obviously I do. Obviously here in South Africa, but I actually think in COVID, I did 3 online webinars to companies, but I just do one-on-one generally coaching with people. So whether, and it can be anything, however you want to change your life in terms of chronic disease. So diabetes, bowel diseases, cancer, it could be weight loss. I do a lot of sports performance. I really like working with athletes. And then I also do this DNA testing, which is actually available in America. So it's in South Africa. And then I'm working with the same company actually, in the US, which is remarkable. And it's like a cheek swab.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get your results in 3 to 4 weeks, and it's an hour feedback really to learn about yourself. And most people, they sort of sit there, they're like, oh, wow, that's unbelievable. It makes so much sense.
Mm-hmm.
So that's most of the services I offer, obviously possibly to your listeners, is just online coaching really to try and get them to whatever goal it is. Because like I said, everyone's got different health goals.
Okay. Well, we certainly thank you. And we thank our listeners for tuning into another episode of the Liberators podcast.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem.
Okay. Thanks,